What's going on, everybody? This is Ken here once again, and in this video I'm going to be giving you guys my review for the Pebble Time Steel, as well as explain to you guys why I went with this smartwatch versus the other big players in the watch game. As you may already know, the Pebble was one of the first commercial smartwatch companies to make it big. It started off as a Kickstarter and eventually gained success among the masses. However, these days, tech giants like Google and Apple have come out with their own smartwatches not only to compete with Pebble, but to take dominance in the market. So during my research to find the perfect smartwatch, it wasn't hard to notice the superior technology in the Apple Watch and even some Android wears to kind of push the Pebble Time into the back corner of my mind. However, it wasn't until I stopped looking at it as a smartwatch and more so a timepiece that I realized that the Pebble still held a level of relevance in this market, and I'll explain why. For starters, looking at it as a basic timepiece, the Pebble Time Steel actually looks pretty nice. It has a stainless steel casing with a decent weight to it, and the genuine leather band looks and feels premium. You also have the option to swap out the bands with any other 22mm watch band, and the stock band has quick release pins which make it easier to take off. Now, I realize when compared to other watches, it looks more like a tech toy than an actual watch, but these features definitely remind you that it's the right blend of tech gadget and timepiece. Also, most smartwatches aren't as water resistant as the Pebble. The Pebble can survive up to 30 meters underwater, similar to a dive watch. This function really comes in handy when you want to change out songs in the shower or while you're in the pool when it's paired to some Bluetooth speakers. The Time Steel also shines in its battery life too. While it advertises 10 days on the box, I was able to get as little as 1 week and as long as 12 days depending on what background applications I was using. This is highly impressive, and you can immediately see where Pebble lacks in processing power and screen technology, it makes up for vastly in battery life. Even if the watch runs out of power, it is still able to display the time. So in mimicking a traditional wristwatch, the Pebble wins hands down. Now let's talk about the tech. The Pebble is able to display accurate notifications from your phone, control playback of your music, show you the weather, sunrise, sunset times, calendar, alarm, timer, and even do some fitness tracking all out of the box. You can also customize your watch by downloading watch faces and increase its functionality by downloading more apps using the Pebble Time app from your phone. The Time Steel uses an e-paper color display with only 64 colors on its spectrum, so don't expect a whole lot of flashiness from your apps, but also keep in mind the trade-off for display aesthetics are made up for in function and rather swift app processing. The display is always on, so you don't have to worry about fighting to get your watch to come on, and in dark environments, just give your wrist a quick flick to power the backlight. Now, this display lacks a touchscreen. Instead, you have 3 navigational buttons on the right side as well as a home button on the left side. Pressing the home button on the home screen lights up the display, and if you press and hold the button, you can silence your watch notifications. The top button on the right side brings up a mini summary of your current day, showing you the weather, sunrise, sunset times, and display your missed calls. The bottom button shows you a forecast for the upcoming days. And of course, pressing the center button will bring up the menu, and of course, it's pretty self-explanatory how you would navigate through those as well. The buttons are also made of metal, and they feel much more resilient compared to its plastic predecessor. This watch also has a built-in mic, which is primarily used for dictation support for different applications. For instance, you can use it to create a quick note, make a checklist, translate languages on the fly, and so on. If you're an Android user, you can reply to text directly from the watch, which can be convenient at times when you can't reach your phone. Currently, this function is rather limited on iOS. If you have AT&T, you can authorize your Pebble to use your phone number, but it will only show up as a text message. No support for iMessages, unfortunately. And if you have Verizon or Sprint, well, unfortunately, you're out of luck with this function. Now, considering the limited API access for iOS, the Time Steel does a pretty good job using its native applications, as well as communicating with companion applications on the phone itself. If I had to nitpick about any particular thing, it would have to be the charger. It uses a magnetic pin similar to MagSafe, but it doesn't hold together as well. You have to pretty much avoid any accidental bump as it does detach itself rather easily. Fortunately, the battery only takes about an hour or so to fully charge, and you don't have to charge it very often. So to summarize, is having week-long battery life, excellent water resistance worth the sacrifice in tech features offered by some of the other players? Well, for me, yes. So while you're able to browse Facebook, Instagram, photos, and all the other stuff on other smartwatches, to me that doesn't make much sense to have those features on such a small screen. If I'm trying to kill time somewhere or I want to share my media with somebody, I would much rather whip out my actual phone. As far as making phone calls and using mobile payment, those functions have been proven to be successful and rather convenient, but fear not, as Pebble plans to bring smart straps to existing Pebble Time watches that allow for these features in the future. But for now, as a simple smartwatch, it does the job and does so elegantly. Well, I hope you guys liked this review and hope you found it very informative. Like always, if you guys have any questions for me, feel free to leave them in the comments. And until next time, take care.